Welcome to Joa Fitness Health Wellness Video Podcast, a space to ignite your day through positive conversations. We bring people that have created excellence in their life, sharing high vibration in their reawakening path.
Happy Friday. Hello, everyone. My name is Joa Rivas, and I welcome you to the Joa Fitness Podcast every Friday. I'm here in the city of Toronto, and I am today with a special guest, Andrew Bryant. He's a podiatrist in the city of Melbourne, Australia. And we actually had some talks before related to the feet and related to the posture. And it's been very interesting to learn so much about the connection on these two that sometimes we ignore. So today we actually going to be talking about flat feet. If you do experience flat feet, this is the conversation that you would love to talk with your friends and actually share with your friends, because it's important to know how our feet can lead to hip issues and other problems in our spine. So hi, Andrew, how are you? And how was your day there?
I'm well, thanks, Joa. Yeah, it was good. I didn't work too hard, and I had a good mix of fun things to do.
Oh, nice. And then you have two dogs there, right?
I have two dogs. They're just beyond me, just over there, sleeping. And yeah. So,
yeah. Yes, I know you take a walk with the dogs. I follow your Instagram. The Instagram of Andrew Bryant is Andrew Bryant, podiatrist. And he posts information about the feet, the shoe, and even hip. We have been seeing a lot of information about hip, but that's why this conversation is going to lead us about how the feet can affect our hip position, or the other way around, how the hip can affect our feet. So Andrew, tell us a little bit about this week in your Instagram. You've been talking about the hip and how this can affect us on our feet, or the other way. How is normally this connected?
So our hip really controls what our foot does. And so when our hip externally rotates or twists out, it really lifts up the arch of the foot. And when our hip internally rotates, it really lowers the arch of the foot. And so in the gait, when we're walking, our foot should be rolling in to start with. That's pronation. And then it should be rolling out as we push off. That's supination. And our hip should be controlling this movement. The problem with a lot of people these days is they're sitting a lot. And when we sit a lot in chairs, our hips become very closed. So they get fixed at the front, and because the hip flexors get tight from sitting so much. And when this happens, we don't have the same control of that internal and external rotation. And so our feet are kind of along for the ride, like they just are being controlled by our hips. And if our hips aren't doing their job, then our feet are more likely to be staying rolled in or staying rolled out, whatever our natural tendency might be.
Yeah.
So that's why it's super important to either not sit so much or to offset your time sitting by moving your hips in ways that they're naturally meant to do, which is like a ball and socket joint. It's meant to move in all different ways.
Yes, I saw your post related to how we can change positions as we are working in our home office. So we can start from a standing position, and then we can slowly, gradually go down to the floor, exactly to the floor, where I saw you literally laying down on the floor, which is something that I do. And I really love that progression from standing to laying down on the floor. And each position, how long would you recommend us to stay? Like for 30 minutes on each position?
It's more about just continually moving. And so once something becomes uncomfortable, just move to the next position. And when that becomes uncomfortable, move to the next position. Or even like that post I did was a snapshot of what it could all look like. But really, in reality, I might be at my standing desk for 20 minutes and just moving between standing on a beam and rolling my foot on the ball, and just like just changing intuitively without thinking about it too much. Or if I was kneeling at a chair with my computer on a chair and I'm kneeling on the floor, I might in 20 minutes move through 6 or 7 different positions. And then we're exposing our hips to all these different positions. There's not one better one. It's just better to keep moving, basically.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Now that we actually started with the hip, now we're going to move down to the feet. And especially today, our talk is going to be related to the flat feet. So like foot imbalances of any time, there will be causing repercussions on lower limbs, like the pelvis and the spine. So like I wanted to chat about overpronation as a prevalent way to just keep the foot, and why this happened, and have you seen this happening lately more, or what's the cause of overpronation of the foot?
So like I said just before, our foot needs to pronate. It's the way our foot shock absorbs into the ground. It's the way our foot rolls in. But just as importantly, as we push off, our foot should supinate, which is the opposite of pronation.
Could we actually tell people what pronation means so they understand?
So it's when your foot hits the ground on the heel. It's a movement of the joints in the back of the foot to bring the rest of the foot to the ground. It's a rolling in of the foot, a collapsing of the foot, but it should be controlled. But it's a movement, just like flexing my arm is a movement. Pronation is a movement, and it's very important. It's also what helps us shock absorb naturally. And so a flat foot might be a foot that stays in that position, like it gets in that position and stays there. And what's really good for normal walking is to not stay in that pronated position, or that rolled in further, like in range of motion. It's better to supinate and roll out, like have more pressure as you push off through the big toe. We should get a stiff foot rather than a rolling in foot. And so there's so many different reasons for having a flat foot. Like babies and young children have them because their arches haven't developed yet. The worst thing we can do is try and make an arch out of a child's foot, because then it's very unlikely to develop naturally and be strong. So I'm really against putting arch support in young children's feet when there is no need for it. And then we see it often when the big toe is pushed sideways, because the big toe it helps us stop pronating. And so if the big toe is pushed sideways, there's nothing to stop it, and our foot becomes flat. We see it when women have babies, because they have a hormone going through their body that makes the joints more loose, and so the foot is more likely to stay flat as well. But a true flat foot, a foot that is truly flat, is very rare. It's almost always a foot that starts with an arch, rolls in, and then rolls out again. But people think they have flat feet because they've been told it. And pronating has a bad rap. But if we didn't pronate, we'd be walking on the outside of our foot, and that would be really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, though, in relation to posture, if our foot pronates, it's when our leg is internally rotating, and this is having an effect at the hip as well, and that should be coinciding with what's going on at the hip. But if it stays in that, or keeps pronating and stays in that position, then it's more likely to create an issue further up the chain at the knee or the hip, because one part of the body is going this way and one part's going this way.
Okay, I see. And for those that are actually using orthotics, like what's your, I just hear that you don't suggest to use orthotics on kids. Kids, they're supposed to develop this naturally, but for those adults, they're actually using orthotics. What is your opinion about this particular prop for our shoes?
So an orthotic is just something that helps function, but most foot orthotics are meant to stop pronation or to control pronation. My argument is that our body should be able to control it itself. It does it naturally. It might mean you have to expose your body to more movement and more strength and conditioning, and then you'll be able to do it naturally. And that's better than wearing a brace. An orthotic is a bit brace-like. It stops your foot moving the way it's meant to move. Also, a heeled shoe encourages your foot to roll in more. It gives it more leverage to stay in pronation. And so often we see the need for an orthotic in a shoe with a heel. I'm not talking about a high heel, I'm just talking about any heel, because our foot is more likely to stay pronated. So in my practice, I can take the orthotic away because I take the heel away and put someone in a flatter shoe. But we don't do it just like that. I don't recommend to any of your listeners to just suddenly take their orthotics away. It's best to do any change very gradually.
Okay. And any particular position on the foot that you suggest for those that have flat feet to be able to stimulate that arch to come back into where it's supposed to be?
Yeah, so there's really good research lately to say that the more we use our foot naturally, so either barefoot or in a minimalist shoe, like we've talked about, you and I before, in a thin, flat, flexible shoe, the stronger the muscles in the arch become. Okay. And it doesn't even matter then what the foot looks like. If you have strong muscles there and they work well, it doesn't matter how it looks, flat or high arched or medium arched. It's more about how it functions. And so we know that with the use of the foot naturally, barefoot or in minimalist shoes, the muscles get stronger and then it's going to function better. I was going to say something else about orthotics, but just then I've forgotten. Doesn't matter. It might come back to me. Sorry.
Yeah, I think also, as you say, like the knee can collapse when the flat is feet. So then the knee collapses and it causes a pelvic rotation. So
Yeah.
is this normally people generate a posterior pelvic tilt with a caving knees that it actually is starting from the feet?
I think it's the other way around. I think it's because we sit so much. Well, I think it's a combination.
Okay.
I think it's the shoes that we wear are heeled, cushioned, and stiff, so our foot becomes weak. That's what I was going to say before. If we wear a neck brace, and you had it on for 10 years. This is how long people wear orthotics for. They wear them for 20 years, and you put it on for 8 hours every day. Your neck would become stiff and immobile. And when we use an orthotic or a shoe that is stiff, like if you move your shoes and they're stiff, then your foot is becoming stiff, immobile, and weak. So there's that factor of it. I don't think the knee is so much a factor. I think it's the hip and the foot. And we sit a lot, which creates hip dysfunction. And then we use shoes that create foot dysfunction. And this creates a picture of poor posture.
Okay, yes. So yes, as you see, all these topics are interrelated together. So if you are actually curious about what is a shoe minimalist, go back into few episodes before, maybe like 4 to 5 before, where actually Andrew talks about the shoe minimalist shoe and how to actually transfer from a conventional shoe to a minimalist shoe. So thank you so much, Andrew. Today we chat about flat feet. We talk about hip and the relation with the feet. So if you want to know more about this, follow Andrew on his Instagram. It's Andrew Bryant or podiatrist.
Andy Bryant, yeah.
Sorry?
It's actually Andy Bryant.
Andy Bryant,
yeah,
yes. I'm going to add this. Yeah, I'm going to add it on the notes.
Yeah, that's
where
fine.
you exactly have the name, the account. And also you can make comments and ask him questions because he actually managed his own account. He will answer to you for sure. For sure. Andrew, and how is the next week? Is everything coming from you're working from home? You're going to the office now in Australia?
I'm allowed to go to the office because I'm a podiatrist, and so people need my care. But we're still locked down. Today, I think officially we clicked over the most locked down city in the world.
Oh my goodness.
And we've got riots, you might have seen, and we had an earthquake yesterday as well. So it's all happening here in Melbourne.
Yes, I see.
I'm very lucky. I've just moved into my newly renovated house, and I've got a whole week off and 2 weekends and 5 days in between where I'm going to be doing a whole lot of gardening, and I can't wait. This is going to be good for my body and for my mind.
And you do gardening barefoot?
I do sometimes, but I'm going to be using a shovel, and so I have to kick the shovel, and so I'll be using a minimalist shoe for that. But sometimes I often go barefoot gardening. Yeah, it's the best experience.
Yeah.
And if you ever mow the lawns with bare feet, you end up with green feet.
You gotta make some videos gardening and showing this process because it's fun to see you in a different environment or always in the office. So like
I could do that. The other thing that I do is when I have a week off work, I have a week off social media as well. So I won't be posting anything for a week because I like to I need to have a break, you know.
For sure. Digital detox. Yes, I do the same thing.
Yeah.
On vacation, I take all the time off when I'm on vacation. So that's great to just be present, right? Be present.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Andrew, for teaching us the way to walk in a natural living. So that's so important. Yeah. And again, thank you so much for everyone to be listening to this. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. Have a beautiful day. And remember that together we are stronger.
We invite you to subscribe to this channel and share with your community. Please leave comments below, and if you like the episode, click the like button. Have a beautiful day.